Welcome back, folks, for a new episode of Leaked. And today we'll cover the VK4503H Tiger II, upcoming premium Tier 7 German heavy tank. So this tank is basically a Tiger 1.5. It's an intermediate step between the designs of the Tiger 1 into the King Tiger. So this tank is like a Tiger II, stock. It has 100mm of frontal armor, an 88mm L71, and no radio man port machine gun. So it's like this vehicle right here, but this is a stock Tiger II. So you could think this tank is like a gigantic version of a Panther II in terms of armor and a Porsche turret, quote unquote. Both turrets, small fact, both turrets from the Porsche turret to the Henschel turret on the Tiger II are both designed by Krupp. So it's not designed by Henschel and one turret's designed by Porsche. No, doesn't work like that. But here's a little history about this vehicle. So from the Birch wagon, the douche wagon at Tier 4, to the VK3001H and the VK3601H, these tanks were paper tanks mostly. They were not mass produced, and they only built prototypes with chassis. So as you can see, they designed the chassis, and the turret was never designed. The VK3601H was meant to have a 88mm L56 or 75mm L70, but they never designed the turret, so they only produced the chassis and used it for crew transport or supply transport. Same goes for the VK3001H and the Birch wagon or douche wagon. So yeah, those vehicles were early designs of the Tiger 1. They also designed a VK6501H, which is a gigantic version of a heavy tank, but they decided that that tank was too heavy to be transported by rails, and that idea was scrapped. So then they designed the Tiger 1, the VK4501H. So this vehicle, the VK4503H Tiger 2, was not exactly the VK4502H. The VK4502H is a production modification proposal for the Tiger 1. It's not the same as the VK4502P, Ausf A, and Ausf B designed by Porsche. So a lot of versions of the VK45s, but I'm trying to get my facts straight. I think I'm getting it correctly. So this vehicle is the VK4503H Tiger 2. It's an intermediate step designed for improving the Tiger 1, and later on they decide to give it 150mm of frontal armor with a Porsche turret and the 88mm L71 with I think 700 horsepower engine. So Hitler wanted better armor and better engine power for the tank, and that's when the final tank is called the VK4503H Tiger 3. They changed the name back to Tiger 2 because the name was too confusing, and I'm trying not to get confused and stumble over here. So this tank is the final King Tiger. Now there were two turrets, obviously. The first turret was used by the Porsche nickname. It's actually designed by Krupp, whereas the second turret is also designed by Krupp, but the second turret is called the Henschel turret. So this is the final production model. And today's vehicle is the earlier step or intermediate step between these two vehicles, the Tiger 1 and the Tiger 2. Whew, I took a lot of takes trying to record that. It's so confusing remembering a lot of names, but yeah, this tank is VK4503H Tiger 2. So yeah, it's an intermediate step. Now what is funny about this vehicle is it's basically a Tier 7 version or another version of the VK4502P Ausf B if they switch it from Tier 9 to Tier 7. So this tank has slightly better armor than that vehicle with the same cannon. So there is a void for the Tier 9 German heavy tank leading up to the Maus. So they don't know if you wanna switch out with the Moishen or the Mammut, the VK101P. So yeah, it's confusing and that void is never filled. So if they decide to switch it and place the VK4502 P Ausf into Tier 7, then this tank is pretty much a better version in competition against the VK 4502P Ausf. Yeah. So, alright. But yeah, let's take a look at the stats, and oh, thank God I didn't stumble across all the names and numbers. Hopefully you did not get confused from all of that. And here are the HD renders of the VK 4503. As you can see, this vehicle looks like a stock Tiger II, but it has only 100mm for the frontal plate, whereas the Tiger II has 150, so you won't bounce that many shots with it. Now you do have the Porsche turret with the famous or infamous shot trap right here. So if you shoot right here, it will bounce and ricochet into the top of the hull. So that's why they have the Henschel turret on the actual production models of the Tiger II. So small fun fact, this vehicle doesn't have the Radio Man machine gun port, the little boob right here. And it has a big turret, so it's more like a French AMX M4. 1945? Yeah, at Tier 7. It's alright. Now, if it's going to compete against the VK4502 P Ausf, if they switch it from Tier 9, then this vehicle is slightly better because the Porsche VK4502 has only 80mm at the front, whereas this vehicle has 100mm sloped backwards at 40 degrees from the horizontal. That's 155mm effective, so it's pretty decent against most Tier 6 weapons and some Tier 7s. But here are the collision models and early renders of the tank. As you can see, the best armor is only 100mm on this vehicle, so yeah, bounce some Tier 7s, most Tier 6, other than tank destroyers. Yeah. The turret is pretty weak. It does have a shot trap, and the mantlet is pretty small, so the turret is probably a big weak spot. Ugh. Side armor is 80mm, so you do have the benefit of having the Tiger II's side armor, but yeah. It's the same as the Tiger 1, but the Tiger 1 is smaller in size, so rough. Alright, the armor is not that fascinating. And here are the main stats for the VK4503 Tiger II H. So it's going to be a premium Tier 7 German heavy tank. This will cost you around, was it 6,000 gold? I think 6,000 gold or so. 6,000 or 5,500 if they're generous, but it's about the same cost as a SU-12244. So okay, that's fair, I guess. Hit points is 1,500 like a Tiger 1, so very chunky hit points to compensate for the lack of armor. Engine power is 700 horsepower, weighs 65 tons, so the power to weight ratio is 10.77, which is lower end of heavy tank spectrum. Now the higher end is around 13 or so, so that's okay. It's not bad, it's not good, it's mediocre. Top speed is 38 kilometers per hour, reverse is 12, not that fast. Hull traverse is 28 degrees per second, turret traverse is almost the same, so slow to turn. It's okay to turn, but not that fast. Terrain resistance is actually pretty good. 0.86 for hard, 0.95 for medium, and 1.8 for soft. That's medium tank standards, alright? That's Tier 8 medium tank, Russian medium tank standards. So that's decent for a heavy tank. View range is 380 meters at Tier 7, which is not bad for a heavy tank. Radio range is 650 meters. Good enough. Hull armor is 100 at the front, 80 at the sides, 80 at the rear. Turret armor is the same, so armor is okay. It's a heavy tank. It's like a French AMX M4 1945 at Tier 7. So, well, it's okay. I guess that's fair. Has an 88mm L71, so it has AP, APCR, and high explosive for the shell types. 203 millimeters of penetration for normal AP at Tier 7. I think this might be one of the best guns for Tier 7 heavy tanks, other than the T-29's 105 millimeter, but the T-29 sacrificed accuracy for slightly more alpha. So that's a trade-off, but you can choose for better accuracy with less alpha on the Tiger tanks. So yeah, 240 damage alpha is pretty okay, but it seems that this vehicle has 2,240 DPM, which is pretty good. The Tiger also has amazing DPM as well. The Tiger could reach up to 2,500 DPM, so this is close to the Tiger 1's gun. So that's very good. Reloads every 6.4 seconds. You could go down to 6 seconds or so with the gun rammer and vents. Very good. Accuracy is German, 0.326. Very good. Aim time is slightly slow, but it's workable, 2.4 seconds. Gun depression is 8 degrees, very good. Elevation is only 15 degrees. So elevation could be better by 20 or like 20-ish, but 15 is not that bad. So yeah, it's a premium Tier 7 German heavy tank. Is it better than the Tiger 1? Now the Tiger 1, in my opinion, is one of the best sniper tanks. So you cannot use the armor because it's only 100 millimeters. So you won't bounce that many shots. But with this vehicle, you still have the 100 millimeters, but it's sloped backwards. So you could bounce around 150-ish millimeters of penetration. You could bounce a few 122 millimeter guns from the Russians and the Germans 75 millimeters if you angle this vehicle. But is it better than Tiger 1? We'll decide that later. Now a quick word about the VK4502P Ausf if they decide to switch it from Tier 9 into a Tier 7 premium. This vehicle is vastly inferior to the VK4503 because it has the same armor. Alright, the armor is mostly the same other than the frontal plate. It's 80 millimeters at the front, whereas for the Tiger 1.5 it has 100 millimeters. So this thing is better in terms of armor, and it's center mounted turret, so you could debate it has better gun depression too. So yeah, the stats are also not as good. So as you can see, the DPM is not as good by one shot. That's crazy. Crappier accuracy, more aim time, the same horsepower per ton ratio, crappier terrain resistance, same health, less view range, less gun depression, slower turret traverse. Yeah, this thing is vastly inferior to the VK4503. This is such a neutered tank. It's really neutered. Oh boy, this thing is rough. But let's compare the VK4503 with the Tiger 1 because everybody have the Tiger 1, I presume. So armor wise, it's the same armor. 100 millimeters at the front, 80 at the sides. So 80 at the rear too. So armor wise, it's the same. But the Tiger 1 has no sloping, so that could be rough on the Tiger 1. However, the Tiger 1 is smaller because of the size. So you could debate which tank is better, but Tiger 1 is smaller with a mantlet, whereas this vehicle has a small mantlet and a shot trap for the turret. So iffy. Alright. But let's compare the other stats. So health wise, the same health, very chunky for a Tier 7 heavy tank. But it's not as chunky as I think the Japanese heavy tank outclass it now, I believe. Yep. The Japanese heavy tank has the most health for a Tier 7 heavy tank. Now, originally it was the Tiger 1, but that's a small fun fact. Engine power is the same, but the Tiger is lighter, so better horsepower per ton ratio. However, the VK4503 has better terrain resistance, so that is better for the balance between the horsepower per ton ratio and the terrain resistance. So they counterbalance pretty well, so that's good. The only difference between the Tiger 1 and the VK4503 is that the Tiger 1 could go uphill faster on Himmelsdorf, whereas for the VK it's slower because the horsepower per ton ratio on hard surfaces. But it's a small detail. Let's take a look at the traverse. So the turret traverse on the Tiger 1 is very slow if you already played it, so that sucks, but you have better turret traverse on this tank, so that's good. Less hull traverse though, so actually better hull traverse. What am I talking about? Oh, gun traverse speed. Okay, so better hull traverse, better turret traverse. It's better to shift, better terrain resistance. That's good. Same view range, very good. Not as adequate radio range, but 650 is pretty decent. So small detail, peanuts. All right. So health-wise and mobility-wise, it's pretty much on par with the Tiger 1. So that's very fair and very exciting than the neuter VK Porsche thing at Tier 7. So let's take a look at the gun. The same penetration, the same alpha, the same gun, basically. Rate of fire is the same. That's good. Reload's the same. So same DPM. Very nice. Very, very nice. Accuracy is the same. Aim time is better. Better gun depression by 1 degree. Better elevation by 2 degrees. So this tank has better mobility. Better gun handling essence in terms of aim time and gun depression. Same DPM. That's good. Wow. This tank could be a very nice replacement for the Tiger 1 if you're playing a premium tank, which makes a lot of credits. But that cannot be true. A premium tank always has to be slightly inferior to the normal tank at tier or at the same tier. So, wow, it has the same DPM but better aim time and better accuracy, better gun depression, better gun elevation, better terrain resistance at the cost of, horsepower per ton ratio. Same health, same armor, but better sloping at the cost of mantlet. I don't know what to feel about this tank. Is it a premium or is it a special tank? And the final opinion about the VK4503H Tiger 2 is that this tank is pretty much on par with the Tiger 1. It has some aspects that are better, such as the sloping on the frontal hull, and the gun depression, the gun accuracy and aim time, but there are some aspects that are inferior to the Tiger 1, such as the lack of a mantlet size and the shot trap on the turret. So it's up for debate, but I think these two tanks are pretty much balanced, and this tank could be a better Tiger 1 in some people's eyes, but it's way better, confirmed way better than the neuter VK4502P. So yeah, I doubt this vehicle would be a premium tank. It could be a special tank for personal missions, but yeah, it's way better than the neuter VK at tier 7 if they switch it from tier 9. So yeah, that could be the normal premium tank, and this could be the special personal mission reward if it fits. I think it fits, yeah. But the VK4502P Ausf is vastly, like super inferior to this tank. So oh well, but this tank is still a normal looking tank, right? It's not as crazy as T28 concept. So I'm waiting for the Object 279s, the UFO shaped tanks, but this is not one of them. But it's fair. I mean, it's generic. Yeah, by far it's generic, but it's at least better than the VK4502P. So, meh. I really wonder what would they do with the tier 9 German heavy tank that leads up to the mouse. Will they replace it back with the Moisten? Because the Type 4 is basically a Moisten, but better. So why not just replace the Moisten back? Or the Mammut, the VK101P. So it's a weird situation, like with the Chieftain. The Chieftain is 85 millimeters on the frontal plate. That's really heartbreaking. So this tank is generic. It's fair. It's really fair. And is it worth your money? Yes, definitely. It has the same DPM, better accuracy, better aim time, better gun depression, better gun elevation, and yeah, it performs all the same roles that the Tiger do, but it has better sloping on the frontal plate. Sure, you have less horsepower per turn ratio, but it's compensated by way better terrain resistance. So that's fair. And the turret traverse, as well as hull traverse, is faster. So yeah, better top speed too. I really like the Tiger 1 because the crazy DPM and the ability to snipe at targets. You could go hull down with the Tiger 1 and survive, and the health does save you with 1500. So this tank is pretty much the same substitute, or capable of doing what the Tiger 1 do, as well as doing more. So, very fair for your money. 6,000 gold or 6,500 gold. Fair. Very decent. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.